Hey everybody, me again. Just wanted to let you know that before we go into this video that today's episode is not about left or right or pro this or anti this. Today's video is about you, and it's about me, and it's about us as Americans. That's the only point I'm trying to make here. Having said all that, God bless you and yours. God bless freedom and Moto, our men and women in uniform. And God bless this beautiful country of ours. Cheers, everybody.
All right, well, I think I'm warmed up enough. Once again, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Naches Pass Trail, which actually goes out of Little Naches and up and over into Greenwater. It's a, two-track trail, lots of side-by-side, lots of Jeeps, but those boys are nice enough to share it with us every once in a while. We feel like riding it, so here we go. And I got the wife trailing right behind me. She's not too far back, and we're gonna take you guys to a very beautiful meadow. If you've never been here or seen it before, it goes by many names. I call it Narnia because it looks vastly different from the rest of this place, and it's really cool to see, so we're gonna get you there. But I wanted to talk to you guys today because I've kept my mouth shut for far too long, and it's starting to get to me a little bit, so I need to spit a little bit of this out. Because something very beautiful happened yesterday, and it was something that, in my mind, shouldn't necessarily have to be celebrated, really. So, I was in a store yesterday, no need to make specifications on this, purchasing some things. And while I was in the aisle looking for said things to purchase, on the other side of the aisle, I couldn't help but overhear a conversation about dirt bikes. So naturally, I stopped what I was doing, and I sauntered right on over there. Howdy, fellas, how are you? And we started chatting the day away in this little aisle here. And what was interesting about this is one of us was in this store wearing a mask because we still have the ridiculous mask mandate of the whole thing, and two of us were not wearing masks. The thing about this that struck me, and it didn't strike me till later yesterday evening, not one of us gave a shit about what the other guy was wearing, or whether or not he had the you-know-what jab in his arm, or whether or not he was wearing a mask. It didn't matter, because we were just hanging out talking about dirt bikes, and we forgot about the whole thing entirely, and that was a beautiful thing. It made me realize that we've just been shaken up. It's very analogous of putting two species of ants in a jar and leaving them alone. For the most part, nothing's gonna happen. But if you shake that jar up, they're gonna start getting at each other's throats a little bit for no reason that they know of, other than the fact that they are shaken up, and now they're gonna defend themselves. So, fast forward to this morning. My wife pulls up a video on her phone, and it was very simple. I didn't think anything of it. And it was a video of a college football game. And these folks, packed stadium, this is probably a couple years ago now, were chanting and cheering and having a gay old time. There was no problems there, because they were all there for the same purpose: to annihilate the other team on the gridiron, which is what brings people together. You have this sense of camaraderie, and sportsmanship and just togetherness. And at the end of this video, all of a sudden here's this fella talking, and his name, you probably know who he is because he wrote the 75 Hard book, Andy Frisella. And he says, do you get it now? Now do you understand why they don't want us in large groups together anymore? Because this happens. Teamwork, camaraderie, togetherness. And I was a bit blown away by this. I'd be remiss if I didn't say I hadn't noticed this in the last year or so, because it's, you know, staring us all in the face. This shit, there's people that I knew in my life, I've known for years, that simply won't even speak to me anymore because my views or beliefs on, you know, we'll call it Americanism and freedom. Freedom! There seems to be a big to-do about people having a problem with that lately. And it goes all the way down to our simple freedoms of where you can go and what you can do, whether you're healthy or not, whether you got the you-know-what jab in your arm or not. That stuff shouldn't matter. And the people that don't pay attention to history, this is very reminiscent of some tiny mustache German douchebag in the early 40s. They said, well, you can't go do this, and you know, these people over here, maybe they're not so good. Oh, you can go outside your home, but you gotta wear this gold star. Are you awake yet? And this boils all the way down to the simple things, like being able to come out here and ride your dirt bike and just have the simplest natured of freedoms. And the reason that this is important to me, you guys, is, like it or not, believe it or not, before the year 1776, every country on earth was a dictatorship in some form or fashion. Freedom has been an experiment, essentially, in this country for the last 250 years or so, folks. So I'll be damned, even if it's a modicum of thing like, we say you can't chew that bubble gum. You, I'm gonna do it anyway. Because I can, because I'm not breaking any laws, because I'm not hurting anybody, I'm not infringing on anybody's rights. We're all in this together, you guys. So I'll be damned if I'm gonna let 1 inch of this go. It's not gonna happen. Oh, good old Jeepers hanging out. Thanks, fellas. And it's time that we start piping up a little bit. Whether you believe one thing or not, you and I out there, we are Americans, plain and simple. And that's what makes us who we are. That's what has the power to bring us together. That's what has the power to hold us above people or entities that think they have control over us. Need I remind you, it is the other way around in this beautiful, luscious place of ours. And I think we need to start remembering that. Because this has gone far enough. Look what's going on in Europe. People are rising up all over the world. They don't want this anymore. People that have a very little idea what it means to have American freedom because they don't live in America, or maybe they haven't spent much time here, or maybe they don't respect our ways, are now in the streets by the tens of thousands saying this has got to end. And you know what? It does. That's why I'm such a big proponent for this. And if it starts at bringing our Moto community together to stand up and show up at board meetings if they're trying to shut something down. You know, look what's happening in Moab. Look what's happening in California. I've said it before, in the war on dirt bikes, it has already begun. But the problem is, it has spread beyond dirt bikes, and it's going basically to your most basic of rights. Yeah, they say this is temporary. Well, you got to do this because, you know, public health and public safety, which I understand. I have no ill will towards anyone. I want everybody to be happy, healthy, prosperous, and free. But the way they are going about doing that makes no sense whatsoever. So we are not complying anymore. Plain and simple. Just not gonna do it. And if you don't like it, come and take it. I dare ya. Because there's about 100 and some odd million of me out there just waiting for you to do it. So give her a go. And the reason I'm talking about this in this passionate manner is because I had a conversation with my grandfather when I was in my late teens. So we're talking 27 years ago. And this conversation still resonates with me today. Granted, it was a small piece of the conversation, but for whatever reason, I never forgot it. He told me a story about when he signed up to go to World War II. He was 17. And a lot of those guys back then were lying about their age just so they could go fight because it was an honor to fight. And he was a ship gunner. So he ran the risk of being bombarded by Japanese kamikaze pilots, not even out of high school yet. And it sounded horrifying. And I asked him, well, Grandpa, why'd you do this? And he looked me in the eye and he said one word: freedom. And I never forgot that. I also never realized how important it was until very recently. This is a big deal. So if something does make sense to you, with everything going on in the world, well, there's a reason for it. And it's just, it's gotta stop. And we're gonna keep speaking up as a people until it does. And that's just the way it is. I don't think there's a need for violence in this situation. I don't think there's a need to be at each other's throats anymore. I think there is the biggest need in our lifetime for us as American citizens and just as Americans to our core and to our hearts to come together and help each other out and maybe be there for one another. You know, remember that? Remember when we used to do that? You could sit and talk with somebody that was maybe the biggest liberal Democrat you ever met, and you're the most hardy conservative Republican anybody's ever seen. And you guys could sit and have a cup of coffee and chat about things amicably. That hasn't happened to me in quite some time. And that's why, for the most part, since we've started Enduro Radio, I've been somewhat quiet about that. But no more. We just sit down and shut up. We're no better than the European population of the early 1940s. And that is not good. So having said all that, we are going to skip forward because I promised you a beautiful meadow, and a beautiful meadow you shall have. Stand by. Okay, guys, here we go. One of my more favorite non-mountain peak destinations. So we come up just a couple corners left to go here. It's a nice little resting spot. Beautiful scenery. And it's just very, very peaceful, you know. Welcome to Narnia. I absolutely love this place. There's my wifey poo. Well, her bike anyway. Well, this is it, everybody. Welcome to Narnia. I will be honest, it is usually a little more green than this, but we've had one of the hotter summers on record around here, and it's not exactly been the most amount of rainfall either on this side of the Cascade Mountains. But thank you for coming along on the ride today and listening to my rants, and I hope everybody out there genuinely does well in our very near future with things to come. Having said all that, as always, take care of yourselves out there, everybody. Damn it. Take care of each other. We'll see you soon. Cheers.